Are you ready? Are you ready?
Welcome to the Meta Sports League studios and Degens on the block. We're coming at you in our third season. Here we go.
All right, here we are, season 3. We're here in the studio at Meta Sports League studio. We've got Todd behind the board back there.
Heyo.
We got David and Glenn. We're missing Manny this week.
We are missing
we'll miss
Manny.
him for a couple of weeks, I think. He's got more important things to do, better friends to hang with.
He'll be back. He'll be
but
back.
we have pulled in a ringer, Dietrich Nissen.
Welcome, Dietrich. Welcome.
He's well known in the Edina community, and he's I don't know, he drew the short straw, and he's here today. So thank you.
On a Saturday
Dietrich.
morning.
On a Saturday morning.
It's a privilege, guys. Come on.
So we've been kind of updating ourselves and getting everybody introduced. For those of you who are new to the Degens, we are a podcast, or a video podcast, and we talk about NFTs, blockchain, AI, some random stuff here and there because our minds tend to wander. We try to keep it in about half an hour. We do try 7-minute segments.
Yes.
And today we've got Todd behind the board, and he's going to be editing on the fly.
Editing on the fly. No.
Something new this year.
Yeah,
Right?
honestly, that's the one thing that kind of derails you, the editing process. So let's just do it on the fly, huh, boys?
Can't
All
do
right.
it all.
You can't do it all.
No.
Nope.
And we can't afford to have somebody back there, so we're still a lean group. We're doing it all ourselves. So let's kick this thing off. Dietrich, welcome to the Degens podcast in the Meta Sports League studio. Did it meet all your expectations?
It's awesome. For everything it is and everything it isn't.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I mean, in this particular building, I used to come here to have orthodontist work
Right.
done when I was a kid, and so it's funny. I'm like, hey, I'm back. I should go see if that guy's still up
Yeah.
there.
Does your mouth
Yeah.
hurt?
Am
when
I
you
going to
walk
get
in
a
the building?
sucker? Am
Well,
I going to get a sucker when I leave?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get the PTSD of the
Yeah.
headgear
Yeah.
and all that other stuff. Right? No. It's,
Yeah. Well,
it's
and
awesome.
now in the
It's awesome.
future, when you need endodontic work, you know where
Hey,
to come to.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Right. Well,
Human canals.
Love it.
So what we typically try to do, try to pick a few topics, and we try to keep it around 7 minutes. I'm not exactly sure what the 7-minute magic is there, but we never keep it in 7.
It is
so
magical.
It is magical. So
It contains us a little bit, anyway.
yeah.
Tries to.
So we were kicking around a few things. We've got some news in AI that's things are moving lately, so we usually try to hit that. We were talking the Meta Sports League. We thought, well, we could either maybe talk about that a little bit. We talked about the rise in carjacking, because part of the reason
Ooh.
we started a little late today was because Dietrich here, you had your dad's car stolen.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, keys, wallet, the whole shebang. He was at the YMCA here in town, and comes back to his locker, finds out that someone had somehow used the lock to twist off the metal piece where the lock goes through, ripped it off, grabbed all his stuff, did the same thing to his neighbors, but we didn't find that out until we're sitting with the officer, and the neighbor comes over and is like, "Hey, what? Did this
So
happen
they
to you?"
stole it. They opened his gym locker.
They opened his gym locker at the Y, and these are old. I mean, the Y in town's been around. I don't know how many years. Long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Right?
So a seasoned
a
seasoned thief.
locker. Yes, I've seen maybe seasoned thief. I don't know. I don't know anything about the thief,
Yeah.
but the what ends up happening? They go to his car. They go through his stuff, spin it around literally the parking lot, and find a BMW that belongs to the neighbor, and they take that one instead. So I was like, yeah,
smart.
smart thief, right?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, that's unfortunate. Now, Todd, you had your card stolen.
Well, I had my wife's car got stolen, and that was no fun. It was a nice surprise after the 4th of July, but yep, they somehow bopped in it with maybe one of those little flippers that got because we could see it on a camera, and all of a sudden the lights blinked like you had the fob, and he got in, couldn't go. He tried to go like 4 times, and then finally was messing around in the car, and then all of a sudden it took off. We found it the next day, or the cops found it the next day, on the wrong side of 62 that and crashed into the Valley View sign. So
You know, the smarter these cars are becoming, right? The technology to take them is so advanced that it's
Yeah.
making it easier for the thieves. I remember back in the day, you'd have to get a coat hanger, and you'd have to sit there and try to jimmy that lock, right?
Yeah, you'd be
And then
going
it's
down
like
trying to lift up the
all
the-
these wires. Which one are you going to hook up? But nowadays, it's like beep boop, and they're
Yeah.
gone.
That's
So,
the
anyways,
best deterrent that I have is the 1991 Miata, which is it's all manual. So,
Yeah.
so-
Well, and they need to know how to drive manual.
They-
Yeah,
I was
they
gonna
have
say,
no
you
idea.
don't
they
know how
get
to
in, they're
drive
like, I
manual,
don't know how to
man."
work this thing. They've got the flipper going and nothing's working.
You're like putting your car keys on top of the hood, like overnight.
Yeah.
Take it.
Try it.
Take it.
Try it.
Insurance will pay me.
Right.
Yeah, so it's but it's crazy. You know, it seems like there's been such a rise around Edina, certainly of carjackings and stolen cars, and part of it is because we're first ring suburb, we're right off the highway, easy. It used to be easy to get on and off. Now with all the construction, thank you, Mayor Hovland, for all this. But it's just gotten it's just rose so much. I mean, I keep hearing about carjackings right out of this parking lot here around Lunds. So
Yeah, I think it's everywhere, and I think it's not great, and it's not safe, and it doesn't matter what time of day it is. If they want something, they're gonna get it. They're very brazen. Look
Yeah.
out. So be
Well,
careful.
be careful. Yeah, exactly.
That's why
right.
we have guns.
Nice.
Nice
Lean right into
transition.
it. No, I love it.
So
Speaking of
let's
guns.
talk about guns.
Oh,
So,
All right.
Do
do
Well,
you guys own guns?
I actually do. So
I do too.
I own a bunch,
Yeah.
but it really, I think, whenever this is brought up, whether it's the carjacking and the rise of crime, I say slow down. Don't look at that incident. Look at the greater culture. Look at the
The greater
shift,
good.
right? The
Yeah.
greater good and the loss of the focus on the greater good, right?
Oh,
There's
it's so gone.
It's so
It's so
gone,
gone.
right?
It's
Like
so gone.
there used to be this whole thing of well, we've come a long way since JFK said that very famous
Yeah.
quote about it's not what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country.
Right.
And we need that back. Somebody
Yeah.
needs to bring that vibe, that culture back,
Right.
because that is at the root of so many issues that we face.
100%.
yeah,
not
it's don't
seeing it,
don't
right?
treat the problem, treat the
When-
or
Yeah.
don't treat the
When did people stop caring?
Bingo.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
It's like literally.
Well, I have a theory, and you can. This is I'm assuming we're in a safe space. Twitter or X, don't hate me for this, but I think what we're seeing is a result of consumerism infecting everything, including our media, including the way we think about things. Everything is disposable. Everything is temporary. Nothing is meant to last, including sometimes relationships. I mean, when
Yeah.
you, right, a ton of them,
Yeah.
right? You look at
Yeah.
Tinder; it's a meat market. People scan them like they're shopping
you looking
on
at
Amazon.
Tinder a lot there?
Well,
Dietrich?
I no. Don't tell my wife. Holy crap! Oh God,
Yeah.
I take that back.
But the percentage is so high of the divorce rate in
Oh,
itself.
God,
So just
yeah.
piggyback.
Is
off
it
what you're
actually
saying.
on the rise? Or
Everything's
it's always
on the
been about
rise.
like
It's
30%.
everything's on the
Well,
rise.
Yeah, I mean, well,
But that's what I'm saying. Even we're talking 50%, right?
which is huge.
I don't
That's-
know.
I
Is,
mean,
is
yeah,
that what it
it's a
is?
huge
It's a
Oh.
50% fail rate?
Doc, you'll have to look
I
that
would
up.
say I'll do some research, but I
Okay.
would say that's probably accurate.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
But
it's
scary.
It ties into though. We're in where I was going with it is because you mentioned AI.
Yeah.
and that's what I've been studying a lot as I'm transitioning from owning my old business of inherited stories. I've been learning more about AI culture and what it does when you essentially are able to build a tool that can pump out tons and
Mhm.
tons of media, mindless media. And it,
It's ongoing.
it's ongoing,
Yeah.
right? It's just a constant stream of nonsensical thoughts or random thoughts. It doesn't have to be, right?
Yep.
And it actually parallels right now with our political season. And what I'm referring to is if you look at the way politicians get their name out, it's all about name recognition, right?
No, it's
that's why
always it's brand.
it's
a
brand
Yeah.
recognition,
I'm,
right?
I'm just trying to
So-
hold on to the reins here.
No,
you
no,
know?
no, no, no.
We-
We're jumping
Di-
around. a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
This
no,
is all
please
you
do.
do.
Please
Usually
do,
it's
yeah.
David that's jumping around.
Yeah, man,
Oh,
don't-
okay. Blame it.
Don't
when,
blame David.
when in Rome, I guess. I mean,
Yes,
it's like,
I feel comfortable with David.
Yeah.
David and I
Yeah,
speak the same
yeah.
language, man.
There's a good vibe here.
We're-
Don't ruin
Don't
it.
ruin it, Glenn.
Okay, just
Don't
just
be
sit
awkward.
there.
Yeah.
He's being weird.
Yeah. But no, I mean, but to that effect, one of the things I learned when I was in corporate America is it's not so much about the quality of the content, it's just the consistency.
100%.
Hammering you over and
Yes.
over with the same message.
You'll believe it soon enough.
Exactly. If
Right.
I nail you in the head with it,
Yep.
and so it's fascinating though to see what a tool like AI can do, almost weaponizing AI, and weaponizing it in service to storytelling,
Yeah,
which
totally.
is scary, right?
Well, I was going to ask you because
please.
owning your own business, you did a lot of things yourself, right?
Oh.
You're getting things going. It's all about you, right? How much can I do? How much now do you think AI could have helped you, whether it be with time, with assets, with anything else that you can come up with? Would it have helped you?
I'll say this: I'm a very efficient and very deliberate human being, and so I'm very good at like execute. Like if I think of an idea,
Yeah.
I will figure out a plan and then execute on it. But where I've seen AI do is it's accelerated that process of coming up with an idea, doing like your initial research to get a base business plan, and then figuring out all the parts of it. But the thing I think that that I needed, and I think really when you look at any business that has exploded or gone viral, whatever you want to call it, there is a moment that speaks a truth to culture, like where we're at, what
Yeah.
people are feeling, and that they cling on to. I don't care if it's like remember the Stanley Cups, those thermoses, like everybody and their mother was at Target trying to get limited editions. For some reason, people gravitated toward that. I don't know what the message was, but they got hooked
Yep,
in, right?
Yep.
And it was the timing of it. I think for the business I had, which was very deeply built on relationships, that's where I wanted to be. I want to remind people the value of having relationships
Mhm.
with others, and the folks who have known you since you were a little kid till now. Who are those people? It's not like 100. It's
Right.
probably like 10 people, maybe 50 if you're lucky. 20 or 30.
It's way too many.
Yeah, okay,
Way too many.
Dave's antisocial is great.
It's like
but-
two. It's like two.
It's like two. Well, and that's it though. It's like for those people that intimately know you,
Right.
you're always influencing them. So I guess to answer the question of how I would have used AI, I think
Carjacking.
used AI in carjacking. Well, I would have built relationships with more thieves, and we would have
Yeah.
come up with an algorithm to figure out where. No, I think with AI, I would have used it to do more targeted marketing and figured out who those industry partners were earlier on.
Mhm.
It took me a long time because the particular industry I was trying to build or nurture or cultivate really doesn't exist in a mass way to the public.
No, so
right?
much what you were doing was personal, right? So
Well, it's intimate.
Yeah.
It's not about the mass produced product that you see on the shelves at Walmart or Target. It's about giving somebody else a very personal experience of things that we're missing right now. Listening, which you guys are doing wonderfully to me rant here.
No, you're
but
fine.
but listening and then acknowledging and trying to understand where someone else's decisions and actions have come from.
Yeah.
And I think there's a beauty to that because I was sharing with you guys before we started recording, but that judge in Iowa gave me the best feedback. He said, Dietrich, my whole career, I've had people listen to me hand out sentences. Being with you for this 2 hours is the first time I felt heard as a person.
Mhm.
That's special.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's what you do.
Well, that's
Yeah.
You're
that's-
conditioned.
that's it.
You're conditioned, right?
That's it.
So it's like it's almost a respect thing, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
know, and since you had launched Inherited Stories, I made sure every time I visited my mom to record I would sit down for
Good.
an hour
That's awesome.
every time I visit, and we
It's
just
powerful.
talk. We just
Powerful,
talk. So
yeah.
I'll just put a camera on. I've got a little mic,
Yep.
and I'll just sit there and we'll just have conversations. I'll bring up stuff and hey, what was it like when you were a kid? Tell
Yes.
me about, and it's just the idea to have that. I tried to do that with Heidi's grandparents a little bit. I would try to record them, but I would record them on the sly instead of, you got the phone going. You're like, oh, tell me about.
You're crossing
something.
the
Right.
kitchen. Don't mind me. Don't mind
Right,
me.
right,
don't mind me.
I want to see the way you walk across the
Yeah.
kitchen.
Well,
Grandma.
and part of that is because like when you sit down they were of this age, like they didn't want to waste your time.
Of
You'd
course.
sit down with them and you'd try to ask them a question and they'd talk to you for a couple of minutes and they're like, oh well, you have better things to do. I don't want to bore you with this. And
Oh my gosh.
you want more,
Oh
right?
my gosh, Glenn.
But
you
it's
hit on
it's
it,
a
man.
different thing.
You just made his Saturday.
Well, no, the humility part
Yeah.
of one generation versus another is,
Mhm.
I mean, we've pretty much flipped the
Mhm.
switch.
Yeah.
Complete opposite
Yeah.
direction, right? The younger generations, including some of my generation, they can't wait to focus on themselves. And the thing that I loved about talking with older adults is they were so humble,
Mhm.
even if they had done some miraculous, I don't want to say miraculous, wonderful things,
Sure.
contributed to their community, helped other people,
Went to war.
Yeah.
went to war.
Yeah.
I mean, God,
that's-
what?
Yeah.
No,
crazy stuff.
I had
insane stuff,
I had a
right?
neighbor when we first moved in our house.
Yeah.
His name was Orly Thornsjoe, right? A big Norwegian,
Mm.
and I was like building a rock wall down our driveway, and he would come before I even knew who he was, and he would just sit and watch me, right?
Mm.
And I'm like, kind of weird.
Sounds nice. Sounds.
Yeah,
But I went over to him one time and I started talking to him. Hey, what's going on? How
Yeah.
you doing? And we had a conversation. And then you suddenly find out like he was like crazy. He worked for Honeywell. He helped develop the first astronautical compass
Yeah.
for space.
And he
you know,
got
use
paid
in
hourly.
space. Yeah.
And he got paid hourly to do it. Yeah.
He was
Nailed
he was
it.
a race car driver, and he was like a sub commander or something.
Oh my God.
Like there was
what a
all these
cool
things,
guy.
and I'm like, I've done nothing. I'm building a rock wall. That's
Right,
the
right,
highlight
right.
of my life right now. like,
Yeah.
like I couldn't compare.
But it goes back to what Dave said about how do you measure success? And I think, again, everybody has a different set of gifts that they either know about that they have or that they don't know about that they can cultivate. And figuring out how you can contribute to that greater good, to our
Mhm.
greater community, is important in its own unique way. Let's just say someday that rock wall prevents like a slide or flooding or something. Who knows, man?
You never know. Give it time.
Yeah, give it time.
But here's the one thing that I've noticed in terms of like, as we grow up, right? Our parents are getting older,
Yeah.
right? And then all of a sudden, you're getting older.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sure you have kids. I'm not sure, but
I do.
sure. Okay. I also have 3 daughters, right? And
He get girl dads.
Girl da-
Yep,
oh.
yep.
this is why we get along.
This is why we get it.
This is why we don't.
Yeah, this is why we get it. You jerk.
Only halfway. I have a daughter too, but
Anyway, so the thing of it is that I forgot what's girl dad. Oh, yeah.
I think
Sorry.
it had to do with
I-
getting
I
old.
messed it up.
Part, yeah.
I messed
Didn't
it
that
up.
have to do with
Yeah,
getting old, David?
Yeah, well, there we go. No, but the older we do get, right, we start figuring out what we're missing, right?
Yeah.
And then it's time. And where I went with this before is like you can't buy time. So having my wife, not work, right? Staying home with the kids ever since day uno, right? You look back at that and that's like, well, no amount of money is ever going to buy that back. Done. Different chapter, gone. So that is so important. So it just depends on getting older. People want to be needed now.
Mm.
So I'll call my mother every day, and I'll ask her for, advice or whatever, even if I don't really care,
Mhm.
right?
Sure.
It's like, hey, Mom, I'm stuck on food tonight. I'm not sure what to make.
Yeah.
Well, she'll throw a couple suggestions, and now she feels needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go with that. I mean,
Mhm.
I
as
love
the
it.
older
Mhm.
you get, the more you like to feel needed.
That you know what though, you're nailing something that I didn't know when I started my business, but as I got to meet more people in the senior care industry, I'm sure all of us can guess what the number one killer of people really is.
Loneliness.
Yeah, loneliness.
Loneliness, isolation.
100%.
And that's why, it's so funny to me how much technology we have, yet we don't do enough of this. Like
Oh, I
sitting
know.
with other people
Yeah.
and just hanging and growing and talking and
Yeah.
processing together. And I wish we did. I wish we
Well,
would use tech to do that.
I'll tell you one thing, Doc back there, that's what he always said. Like, he started this whole thing just because let's just get some guys together. Let's get talking about some topic. I mean, and that's the creation of just bringing it back. Like,
And he didn't like ice fishing because that's the same thing.
It is.
Right.
Yeah,
Literally.
Or
we're just
sitting
not
in-
recording it.
right.
Or sitting in Starbucks.
Or sitting
Or
in
sitting in
Starbucks, yeah.
Starbucks.
But hey, I just want to jump in just real
Please
quick.
do.
But I just love you telling us the story about your business, because it's that long form content where you really get to know the mindset of another generation, and what we're missing right now is that JFK kind of citizenship. And so, like,
Why, though?
kudos to you, man. That
Yeah, it
is
is good.
awesome.
Yeah,
I
and
appreciate it.
it's bridging the gaps too. Because
Yeah, we don't need to live in a world of sound bites. Let's
No.
have some more long form content, hear from generations, get wise.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and that's it. Is the I worked as a TV reporter for many years. I was in Rochester, Minnesota. I was out in Spokane, Washington, and you sit. I hated the stories where I had the chance to meet a wonderful family, and then the producer or the news director would say to me, "Now, Dietrich, cut that down to a minute 30. That's all they get. That's all. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing." And I
That's your
understand.
snippet.
Yeah, I understand why I had to do it, but at the same time, it broke my heart where you had a wonderful story you could flesh out, and there were so many cool parts.
Well, the nice thing nowadays is that you can offline that, or you can
Well, that's right.
sidebar
Yeah,
it and be like,
sidebar,
oh,
yeah.
we've got.
Here's a
if
hot
you want to
link
hear more
to
about
full
this?
story.
Head over here, and
Yeah.
here's the full story.
Yep. Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of things that technology is helping
yeah.
us do, and media consumption has changed
Oh, well,
in such a way
there you go.
that's really kind of assisted things like long form even.
Well, and it's interesting because if you look at how, I mean, okay, so I've been doing media production for 20 years, and you've been doing it longer than me, Glenn. Clearly, no, I don't dig it.
Clearly.
Oh, come on,
I'm
Sam.
sorry.
What's
Sam.
that, man? Oh, I had to burn
There-
Glenn
There,
once.
there has to there has to be a button
has
on
to be
there
a
somewhere.
AO button.
where- like-
Wah, wah, wah.
Sorry, Glenn. Oh, come on. But no, man, like, since I was at
And that does it for today with Dietrich. We're gonna have to cut him off short.
Oh, no. All
Yep,
right,
we're sorry to see you go, Dietrich.
No, hey buddy, I love it, and I want that humor to stay.
Ready?
I had to burn. We can't be too
You
serious.
ready?
Right.
we need a couple more of those. Tell you what.
Well, no, but I mean, if you think about it from the time I started back in 04, 08 after I graduated, right? Which is crazy, right? 20 years. The technology shift and the way people consume media is completely different. TV news
Every
doesn't
month
matter,
it
man.
changes.
Yeah, every month,
Yeah.
every
literally.
second. Well, and this is the crazy part: is the consumption method has evolved so rapidly. We went from TV news where you had long form investigative pieces, all that, to still valuing 1 hour and a half documentaries and all this other stuff. And now, the majority are hooked on short form content, which is 15-second sound bites, really quick.
Yep.
Tell it to me in a TikTok, right?
But
Yeah.
a million times.
a million times over
Right.
and over in a different way.
Think about this. So funny. Well, it's not even funny, but
What?
it kind of is. You're watching news. I don't care which one you're watching, but breaking news. It
Yes.
used to actually mean something,
Yeah.
right? But now we see it like 55 times a day, where we're just like flipping through the channel. Breaking news. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, Gilmore Girls. It's like you're just like it doesn't even affect you anymore.
I'll use the analogy of a bandage. When you first apply a Band-Aid, it sticks, right?
Right.
But the more you pull it on, pull it off, pull
Yeah.
it on, pull it off, it loses its adhesive, right?
Yep.
And so it's the same thing with media. The more you hit somebody over and over with the same structured content
Mhm.
of quick, don't think,
Right.
quick. The less chance they actually process anything, and it's just about influencing not their active mind, but
Right.
the inactive
Right.
mind of like, where did I hear that? Where's this from? Oh my god!
But true. But even when you go to the stores, and you're in
Oh,
Target
yeah.
and you're checking out, and you walk in and it's like you got candy bars and you got like
Yeah.
your drinks and everything,
Yeah.
and it's like the kid's last chance to like get something, right?
Right.
So they're
right,
like,
yeah.
and
Right.
it's all at kids, right here at their height, so they can just start grabbing stuff and throwing it in.
Yeah.
But it's like almost like that FOMO, right, where you're a fear of missing out, and
Yes.
if you don't act on it, right,
Yeah,
it's like
1000%.
that's not going to happen. But eventually they keep doing it, and you react.
What? And I look at it as like you even go back to OG media, and to me, OG media is campfires, right? You think about campfires,
Ooh.
right? Let's
Yeah,
go
Todd
back.
loves campfires.
Well, and you right, so you sit around a campfire. You can't really at the time look anything up, so you're just sharing random stories about like, hey,
you're
this-
making shit up.
Yeah, you can make shit up. You can say, hey, the hunt went this way,
Yeah.
even though you killed,
The fish was this big.
Right.
I'm not even
Right.
kidding you.
Bro, he turned that water literally into wine. Like
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, people were Christian. I'm Christian. I'm just saying the power.
Are we
of
talking about
media-
religion now?
No,
Yeah.
no, we can jump to religion.
Bonk, bonk, bonk.
But no, storytelling is
Yeah.
what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Is the evolution of storytelling has been crazy
Mhm.
because it's going hand in hand. The rise of mass media and lots of short form content. You're seeing the decline of people going to church, where a pastor will
Yeah.
stand up there and give a sermon for 15 minutes or half hour. Oh God! But it's changing our storytelling habits, and that's what's so insane about it. So
Mhm.
then, where I try to forecast like, well, what's the next natural step? Well, if I'm a corporation or I'm a business owner, I want to save money. How do I save money? AI. What can AI do? Well, let me see. If I can buy data from a Facebook, from a LinkedIn, from an Instagram, from a TikTok, if I can buy that data and I can create a model, an algorithm model
Mhm.
to pump out content that uses that data to create a storyline, let's just say over a 5-year period, because think of it like an investment. I start with one story that I repeat for 3 months or a quarter, and then I switch to another story.
Start building.
You start building
Yeah.
a totally different way of looking at the world for someone else. That is power. That is scary.
Isn't that just how an ad campaign works?
Well, that's
It's true.
I mean,
it is.
It is.
I mean, that's how
but-
you build brand,
Yeah.
but
But-
yeah,
The-
it's repetition, and
Yeah.
then it's
But
keeping
the
it
one-
fresh.
But using AI to come up with, whether it be helpful for the content or just the algorithm of figuring out the best words to be used
Yes.
for this demographic. I mean, there's a lot. So good point.
Okay.
Now, the question is two things:
Please.
is the passion, right?
Mm.
AI, is it delivering the passion that one would actually receive over a conversation?
Well,
But hang on, and then having that one conversation, right, isn't going to be allowing you to have the conversations over masses like AI can get out there, right? So it's just a hard set. But I will say this, and Todd, Doc back there, you'll appreciate this. I always say, stories sell,
Yes.
facts tell.
Yes.
And
Nailed it.
so
Yep.
if you have passion about your product or whatever you're doing, your project, that's what people buy into.
I'm going to add to that. And
Just my
If-
opinion.
no. I'll say this. If you can fake passion for something
Mm-hmm.
and people buy into it,
Mm-hmm.
that's equally as good, right?
Mm.
Because there's still one of the
I
things
think
that
you can tell when it's faked.
well, you think, but one of the things that I think this is different. It's hard. Well, yeah, you think, right?
I'm not even gonna say it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well,
What? No. If you're, you
we're
should
having
say
too
it.
much fun
This
here.
is great.
We're just
Yeah.
having way too much
Yeah.
fun here. Oh, that's good
If-
stuff.
If you're, But if you're an average consumer, well, no, not even an average consumer. I would say just a regular everyday Joe, and you're just scrolling. It's just killing.
We've lost.
We've
lost
Dave.
David.
But
David on
hey,
this.
let me jump in because
Yeah,
I
please
hear what
do.
you're saying is because you're able to give a bespoke message to a certain individual that you might not understand yourself, and AI could help you find that avatar. How do I speak to that avatar? Glenn's has more experience than anyone being able to try to figure out how to speak to that avatar that they're selling the product to.
Right.
But on a gig type basis of sale, that you might have different segments of audiences, like lookalike audiences, that kind of thing. And like, how do you direct that message to someone that you don't understand? So that I think that's where AI could really be helpful.
The thing with AI and whether it's writing content or anything like that is it's creating lazy people, right? So you're kind of, what happens is you go, well, let's go to ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever, and you type it in, you're like, oh, there it is. Boom, you push it out, right? You've done nothing, none of the research, none of the
homework.
It's nothing from you. It's just regurgitating.
Well, you did have to prompt it.
I think it's how you prompt it.
It's how you prompt it.
Yeah. So it is coming from you. It is.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's prompt engineers and there's everything. It's creating a new job title.
But if you just
like
go to
that.
ChatGPT or whatever, if you put nothing in that search, nothing's coming up.
Right.
Okay. So just so you know, bud. You have to.
You have to put
so then
that's why it's not working for me. I don't understand.
Now I get it.
Actually, now, so
now you can use it.
No, ChatGPT just came out with a voice.
Oh, the voice one. Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah.
So you can have conversations with it and stuff like that. So it's
this is the part that used to be special is the talking back and forth. Most media, you're being talked at, right? Somebody is telling you what they want you to hear or what they think that you want to hear, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, we didn't know where this was going.
No, this is great.
We're talking
about our wives. Are we talking about our wives right now?
Yeah. There you go. Dave nailed it. That's true. That is it. Shoot. Don't watch this, honey. But I mean that's one of the special parts is the back and forth banter, right?
Yep.
And with AI, I've been wondering because I've had ideas, and please, someone out there in the world, maybe you, Dave, entrepreneur in robotics in AI. I still think. Have you ever seen the movie Big Hero 6? With the right. Baymax, the care robot. That is actually a great idea. Think of how many lonely people there are, and if you created a robot that could have a full-blown conversation, it could actually listen to someone and then respond in a way where it felt meaningful to them. So would that achieve that same goal, or would it be inauthentic? And
one of the things. So I've got a friend of mine, Jessica Benson. Shout out to you. She was working with these VR goggles, right? And it was all about people in hospice, people in long-term care, because it's like that loneliness thing. So what we were talking about is even doing customized content for that. So I was kind of working with her, trying to ideate on different ways to use this. And so if somebody's talking about, I used to sit on the porch of my house. It was a farmhouse, and it looked over this meadow, and we just have lemonade or something. Like, you can create it. You can either use AI to visually create it, right? And you can do a scene, you can do a short clip, or you could go and shoot stuff and have stuff for these people. But there's so many things that the use of these VR goggles brings down your need for medication. Your pain.
Just wear the goggles.
Wear the goggles, and
injects you.
Just wear the goggles. You're fine. No, but
put a lock on the back.
But just real quick, we were Ted and I went to the All In Summit All In Summit.
Yeah.
And they have this podcast, and they have great people and speakers, and kind of like us, right?
Yeah.
But
exactly like
exactly.
but Doc, I want you to chime in here.
Okay.
We talked, and we listened. And Elon Musk robots, you take it.
You just threw that over to me, Elon.
I did.
That was
Well,
a great toss.
wow.
Hot coming in hot.
But he's kind of basically predicting that there's going to be 2 robots to every person on the face of the earth,
I agree.
And that's where we're going.
And
I agree.
that's
Now, we're not talking like human-sized robots. I mean, it can be anything.
Oh, it can be.
right?
it could be anything.
It could be
but-
bigger. It could be bigger.
It can-
Way bigger.
Yeah, it would just rock me in its arms.
It's gonna change your diaper, boy.
They should call it the big spoon robot.
Yeah.
No, but
But
you know,
yeah.
even to the dogs, to the cats, to the pets.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all robotic, and you don't have to feed them.
Ah,
You don't have to clean their poop. They bark. They guard. They come. They sit. They stay.
They watch your car so it doesn't get jacked in front of your house.
Yeah, they breathe out fire.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, but again, to your point. So when do you say that? I mean, it was like, I don't know, tomorrow. What's happening?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, I
Well,
think
it-
within 5 years.
It's
The
like
good
5
thing
to
about
10 years.
Elon is
Yeah.
he's never throwing out wild statements.
No, and cybercar that he's building. I don't know where that came from. Awkward.
Awkward.
But you know, he's building cars for like $8,000,
Mhm.
which is incredible because it takes away a lot of the competition and just doing
Well, but-
the right thing.
But they already have that. They're already doing that in China.
Okay, we're not there
We're-
yet.
I
but
know,
we're
but
here.
All I'm
We're
saying
in
is
America.
it's out there, but we
We're-
just have
but
we
it's
just
not
have
out
tariffs and we
here.
have
Not
everything.
here,
We
though.
can't get
But
it here.
Elon,
Yeah.
Regardless, I mean, what he's a genius. He is a genius. There's no doubt about that. Does he do everything right and say everything right? No one does, right? But where he's taken technology and has advanced us as humans or AI or whatever, but it's crazy where it's taken us, good or bad. We're going there.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
let's stay on top of it.
Right.
No,
Well-
absolutely.
Well, he's building tools, and it's not. It's. I
Whether
maybe
you want to
not
use them
true.
or not.
Well, it's so. This is the interesting part that I think when we had mentioned guns, which we'll stay away from, but when we had been talking about a tool,
Yep.
It's the user of any tool
Correct.
that determines its use.
Yep.
Not the actual product.
Gun doesn't kill
right?
people.
I
People
could kill people
people.
with this thing.
Yeah.
It's heavy as hell, right? But it's
Someone. Yep.
that's the point. Is technology is in that same way. AI can be used to do quite wonderful things, but it
And
also-
horrible
but
things,
also
hacking.
horrible things.
I mean,
Yes.
it's our,
Oh my
they're
gosh.
doing it right.
Yeah,
they're
doing
it
it
right
already.
now, right?
Yeah. But I was just at an AI conference and we were talking about that. That every time we make a technological advancement, laws can never keep up. Politicians can never keep up with even regulation and anything around that because they're so far ahead. But the other part of
and
it
they're
is,
so old.
well, the other part of it
Some of
is
these politicians are,
people who
85.
exactly. Well, people who want to do bad things and harm
AI's
others-
A1.
yeah, right. A1. There you go. People want to do bad things are going to do them
Yeah.
regardless,
Yeah.
right? So then it's up to people who want better for others and want to do good in the world to say no. We have to figure out how we can
And-
use it to do good
And how to try to mitigate and safeguard,
and mitigate and safeguard.
right? Because that's
Absolutely.
always been
That's it.
an issue in
Yeah.
everything that
Yeah.
we do.
I'm gonna butt in just real
Please
quick,
do.
and I think the real danger is that corporations now own AI. It's not decentralized.
Yes, sir.
It's not decentralized AI.
Yeah.
And
Woo!
there's a
True that.
project. There's a project called 6079 AI. Look into it. Jump on their Twitter. They're all about having an open and decentralized AI, large language model, small language model, but to keep it open for folks so that multinational corporations don't have full control over it. So
Yeah, well, I mean, OpenAI just went, so they're going public, or they're going
Mhm.
to a profit model. Not
Mhm.
maybe not public, but they're going to a profit model from nonprofit. So the nonprofit was like kind of that thing. It's like, let's find ways to use AI and everything, but now they want to be attractive for investments.
Of course, and the driver behind all of it, I don't care what it is money.
Yeah.
But it
Always
didn't start.
is.
It didn't start necessarily with Elon in that way, but it naturally goes toward that no matter what it is. And you know, I think it really does come down to the intentionality of designing systems where again you're setting standards for how you're generating your revenue. How do you make your money? How are you influencing people? What is the impact of what you invent? These things, like we didn't learn from Jurassic Park clearly when social media came out and suddenly, holy shit. Sorry, I shouldn't
Yeah,
swear, but
you're okay.
holy shit.
You can swear here.
Say- it's a
I
safe
don't
zone.
know if this is like a no
Yeah.
swearing area.
I think we have one viewer, and it's
okay.
it's Glenn's mom.
Hey,
So-
Glenn's mom, good to see you. We want to interview you more. But but I mean, when you think about it, like Mark Zuckerberg, when he invented it,
Yeah.
Facebook, his intentionality wasn't, hey, let's create a mass marketing platform
Right.
where companies pay me lots of ad revenue. He's like, dude, I want to post these college photos,
Of-
get drunk with my
of a
buddies.
bunch of
and-
chicks.
Oh, a bunch of chicks.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And so he didn't predict that, like, for my generation, all the employers would use Facebook to look at
Right.
your profile and say, holy
Yeah.
shit, I don't want to hire this guy. You
100%.
crazy? He's a drunk, whatever.
And that's
So-
so true because like back in the day, and I'm talking maybe 9 years ago, I was going to hire this coach for the kids and everything.
Yeah.
He's great. He's a great swimmer, kind of loud, but whatever. I can
Yeah.
deal with that. Good character. I didn't go on his Facebook page, but someone else did, and they're like, "Have you seen his?" No, and I look through it, and I'm like, "Oh my god," But again, it's like, I'm glad I grew up in the era of, well, there weren't any phones and
Yes.
pictures and stuff like that
Yeah.
because, if that's you're judging a book by its cover,
Yes.
and you're not really getting to know, and this is where it's so weird because you're not getting to know that person just because they know what they think is a fun time or what they're doing and to have a fun time. I mean, who am I, right, to like judge that? So it's like, I want to take it for face value. And I met with the guy. Seems like a great guy. Loves kids. So it's like, I'd take a chance. But then all of a sudden it's like someone else comes in and says, oh my God, did you check their social page? But that's to be fair, that's what they're doing. Colleges are doing it, right? It's like,
Well, a digital story doesn't
So
go
true.
away these days.
Never.
We've known this
Right.
for a long time
Ever.
now that anything
it's in the
you-
cloud.
Right, it's in the cloud. It's somewhere out there,
Yep.
and they'll dig it up. I mean, God, you have celebrities who are getting called out for tweets from 20 years or whatever. Things they've
Yeah.
said or done 20 years ago.
Are we
50
talking about
years
P.
ago.
Diddy?
Yeah. Oh, God, okay. Oh, God, no.
We're not
no,
going
no,
there,
no,
boys.
no,
We're
no,
not going
We're not
there.
going
I'm
there.
kidding. I'm
No,
kidding.
P. Diddy, you awful man. But
He went there.
yeah, we went there. We went there. But that is part of it. Is we have all these kids. Like I think of my girls. My girls are one's about to be 7. The other one is about to be 2.
Oh, you're in the thick of it.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So this is actually. Thank you for saving me on a Saturday morning. Otherwise, I'd be doing others. Sorry.
Yeah, changing
but
the diaper.
But to that point, raising them is going to be insane because like when our kids were young, like phones were just kind of coming in, and you're like, oh, this is great technology. They should know how to use this. It's going to be blah blah. Nobody had any idea that it was going to like lead immediately to like cyberbullying and
Body shaming.
body shaming,
all of the things.
all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Where now keep the phones, keep screens, keep everything away from them. I mean, Edina I think they did a no phones in
Yeah,
school.
how's that working out?
I don't know. How is it working
Nice,
out?
Dave. Yeah, right.
Todd, how's that working out?
I have no idea, actually.
I'll tell you, I have kids. It's not working out.
It's not what-
they're still bringing it up. They're still using them. My kids can prove that. So here's the deal about phones. Terrible thing, right? Worst invention in the world, right? But they're here, right? And we
Right.
have to adapt to it, right?
Mhm.
And to what you're saying, yes, schools are trying to conform to some kind of like regulatory hours or when you can have them, when you can't have 'em, whatever the deal is, right? All I have to say is I take my kids' phones away from them at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before they go to bed at
Mhm.
9 o'clock, they're 15, turning 16, and everything's important and blah blah blah. And But at 9 o'clock when I take them away, they're twins. All of a sudden they're together,
Yeah.
watching a
Mhm.
movie,
Yeah.
talking, doing homework together.
Yes.
And so the phones are like cancer. They do all this like I don't even know what they're like snapping. They're snapping,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like they don't even need to talk because they're doing it through pictures.
Right.
So, it's like cursive writing. Where's the art of well, we don't
don't
teach
teach it.
that.
Yeah, they stopped
Yeah.
teaching it.
So
now.
it's like so all these things that used to be important are kind of like we don't need to do that anymore because no one ever writes.
Yeah, well, and we've created a culture though that is unforgiving and hyper judgmental. And
Mhm.
as a kid, you can't make mistakes, and that's the worst part about it.
Right.
How many? I mean, I think about like when I was a kid. And this is right around iPhone when iPhones were just starting as the end of my high school time. But had we had iPhones then, we would all been effed like
Yeah.
really hard because
Yeah.
we did a lot of dumb things.
Who
as-
didn't?
Yeah.
Who didn't? Right?
We just
And-
didn't get caught.
Right. But
Right.
that's the
Not
thing
dumb
that
enough to get
sucks,
caught.
man. Is kids aren't allowed to make mistakes.
No.
And pay for it times 1,000,000,000 people out there who suddenly see a video that they didn't intend to get out there, and suddenly, holy shit, my life's over, and then
Yeah.
they kill themselves, and you're like, what did you do that for, Jesus?
And they're
Right?
yeah.
It's just
I mean, they're-
awful. It's awful.
my daughter's a varsity athlete,
Yeah.
and she doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't vape, doesn't do any of that, and her twin doesn't either, even though she's not an athlete, but she could be.
Yeah.
She just chooses not to be. But I said, if you're ever in a situation, feel free to call. I will come and pick you up no matter what time it is, and
Yep.
no judgment.
Yes.
So there was one time where they did call me that there was people started drinking and smoking, and it was like her brother's friends started coming, which was an older crew, and just something that they felt uncomfortable. So I went and picked them up. And so then today is our homecoming,
Right.
right? And so they're going to their homecoming, and they've got their plans and everything else. And their another group invited them to a party, and they're like, "We have like $900 worth of alcohol."
Oh,
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember high school. I loved it. Right? It was like homecoming.
Yeah, it's homecoming. It's
It's
fine.
like free pass.
But
But
now,
it's like
now you have your party robot that you can send
My
because
da-
everybody's
I don't
going to
e-
have one.
I,
Nice
So
one.
you-
Way
but
to
you
prove
So
that.
you just go,
you can.
party robot, go take over for me. And
100%.
they can make bad decisions and everything else.
But what I'm
Right.
saying nowadays, if you go to these parties and you're an athlete, and
Yeah.
and just because here, hold this for me, someone snaps a picture from a distance, you can actually be suspended from the team because you are not supposed to be in a situation where there's alcohol, tobacco, anything. You can be suspended. And now it's so easy to get in trouble because of the iPhones, the photos, the snapping, the chatting,
Yep.
So anyways, I'm not for these phones. This is a leash. It has been, it will be, and the noose is only going to get tighter.
But you also have a greater community of parents that are hyper reactive, and you have to
Yeah.
worry about their opinions and their shit on your kids.
Yep.
Like, no offense
No.
to other Edina parents, but like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
If you care about
Yeah.
what my kids, that's my business,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
no, I'm just saying.
How does
right?
he really
Like-
feel?
like,
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. No, but
Yeah,
that's
no,
for your
true,
kids
true.
too.
It's fact.
It
The
sucks.
fall of Dietrich Nissen.
No, man,
Can
no,
we-
throw it up
can-
there. I've never
that
run
can-
for office or anything. I don't care. But
This
no,
is where we just kind
We'll
of tell the
beep it
truth.
out.
This is
We'll
this
safe.
beep
was-
it out.
You
Well,
can
this
beep
is
it out.
safe.
Yeah.
This is safe. This.
No.
Safe zone,
But I-
safe
Thanks,
zone.
Glenn.
Yeah,
Thanks, Glenn.
yeah.
Killing the mood, the
Yeah,
vibe.
Yeah, again.
Again.
But I think that's part
It's a
of
documentary. This is so it's so
You
much
keep
more
doing it.
than a podcast.
This is-
It's a documentary.
This is the end of.
This
yeah.
is- and this is where Dietrich took the turn.
No,
And-
man.
and
these
he
are-
was ostracized by all of
All of
town.
Edina for
But-
saying this.
My ears are ringing. My ears are ringing. You gotta back up from that mic, Glenn.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think what I have to say is very important. That's why I get close.
No, it's okay. But I mean, that's okay. But really, but that I was out with dinner with some friends from Edina, and some of them have older kids in the high school and stuff. and I was just listening to what they were saying about the judgments and their own judgments
Mhm.
on some of their kids' friends and
Mhm.
how they're concerned about this behavior and that. And you know, instead of I think it's okay to acknowledge that you're feeling that way, but at the same
Yeah.
time, like, have that conversation with the damn kid. If you don't like who
Right.
they're chilling with, just say, hey, I want to just talk with you. You don't need to tell me about it, right?
What happened? What happened to the good old days where you get smacked upside down the head or something like that? What are you doing hanging out with a, one of those? I mean, you stop real quick. I feel like we should just judge everybody.
Well, you know,
Well, we do.
Back-
Well, that's it, man.
back-
Dave's
but
right,
that's why
do
we have
it.
no friends.
That-
I'd rather just stay home, talk to my dog.
I mean,
That's
That's why we started this
What- what- what-
podcast.
That's why I started the podcast.
when we were kids, there was the mom network. All right, so
Yes.
it was different. It wasn't location services and stuff. It was all analog, right?
Yeah.
So moms talked to moms, so they knew whether you thought you were free and nobody knew where you were. Everybody knew where you were
Yeah.
because they all would call like, "Hey, I've got Glenn over here. He's heading over to Chris's house next." So
Beth
they
is
knew.
coming over.
But
They knew.
But you nailed it. Is that we actually had a connected community versus
Yes.
a fake connected community,
Yes.
and that's it. Is if you're in our world right now, you're born into this world, you could quite literally live in isolation, find a remote job, never talk to anybody, and have all your crap delivered to your house. At this point, we have developed
absolutely.
this
Yeah.
isolated.
There's people that haven't
Yeah.
left their house.
Oh
for-
God,
for
no! Yeah,
years
and it
because they
stinks
can
in
do
there.
it. Yeah, they think everything's fine.
Yeah, you always wonder about those,
But-
like my 600-pound life. How do they get their food? Amazon.
Amazon.
But
yeah, or-
here's the thing:
Yeah.
if we can just go back to our parents and grandparents, they said it a long time ago, and probably before that, they
Mm.
said, if you hang out with a pig, you're eventually going to be a pig.
There you go.
If you hang out with pig, you are a pig. It's
Yep.
it's one of those things like, just if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig, right?
Man, it is.
So I
It
ju-
is,
so
absolutely.
if we can just kind of think about this, is like, if your kids are hanging out with kids that smoke, drink, and do drugs, chances are your kid's gonna turn out to do drugs, whatever, smoking. But I think that power of the mind. Yes, you can have friends of all different kind of like social groups.
Yeah.
And life is hard.
Yes.
It's not easy. And like the kids right now, what they're experiencing through these phones and through the peer pressures that are happening at an earlier age, it's tough.
I
Kudos
think
to
going
'em.
back to what you were saying earlier about failing, right? Because kids, I mean, an important part of everything, we were talking about business, it's important to be able to fail. For kids growing up, they should be able to fail, and learn from these mistakes. But the problem is when you have things like social media and stuff, you fail, somebody clicks it, so it's not like, well, I should learn not to drink tequila. Now it's out there and it's floating around for
Well, I
for the
think
next
you were talking about
It's
the
brand-
it's branded you.
Yeah.
yeah
Well,
know.
yeah, I'll
It's-
say it like this. When I closed Inherited Stories a month and a half ago, it was probably the loneliest I've ever felt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But what was
Been there.
interesting, right? You're right. What was interesting is who reached out and who didn't. Who I thought I could sit with and
See,
open up.
somehow I think
And,
this
and,
is
and who did?
Few
I
Well,
feel
no.
like this is directed at me. Did
No,
I-
no,
did I
no,
not-
no, you reached out.
Did I
Glenn.
not
No,
reach
no,
out?
No, man,
I thought
no.
I said
I wouldn't
something.
be here. No. But what did?
Some
Hey.
people reached out.
Stick with me.
Others,
Stick with me. I'm almost to the point.
Others did not.
The point being is that because we are in such a consumer based media culture, a like, a thumbs up, a click, people will
They
say
think
in their
that's
heads,
enough.
they think it's sufficient.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not the same as calling somebody and saying, hey man,
Yeah.
I saw that happen. Can I take you out for lunch?
Let me
Right?
ask
Or
you
do
this.
that.
So, some people called, reached
Yeah.
out, maybe,
Maybe.
a couple texts,
A few.
maybe, right? Right. But the thing is like,
Yeah.
how many of them sent you a card?
Yeah, that's true.
How many?
None.
Zero.
I had No cards. I'm
No
very upset,
cards.
and no cursive.
Right?
Cursing, but no
I
cursive.
don't even
No.
know his address. How the hell would I send him a card?
But if you wanted
don't even know.
to,
Can I
you
send it
could
to
have
his
figured it
LinkedIn?
out. But what I'm saying is
Yeah.
that it's evolved, it's changed, and like you said, people
Right.
are like, oh, I'll just give him a thumbs up, and that should be suffice
Yeah.
and take care of my part
Right.
in this thing.
Well,
But
and
you know what? I'm sorry that happened.
Oh no.
You know,
I wanted
true
to
friends
get
are true
to-
friends, and
Yeah.
we've all been there. We've all
Yeah.
been there where it's like the bottom frickin' dropped out.
Yeah.
And what in the heck am I doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
Not next month, but we're talking
Literally
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yes.
But
You know-
this is what I was getting to is though that as a culture we have forgotten how to care about others.
Yeah.
In a very like meaningful, authentic way, which is again why I had thought at the time when I started Inherited Stories, no, I'm tapping into this. I want to create a business that intentionally cares about people and puts them and their feelings and respecting the life that they lived in
100%.
in front. But what's interesting is the absence of projects would suggest that that's not what people want, right? Maybe is it the specific product, or is it the actual sense of that feeling of being cared for in a real way that we're no longer even craving, some of us? I don't know.
That's the question. That's the question that we're gonna have to figure out. Loved having you here.
sorry.
No,
Yes.
you're good. You're good. I'm just I know that I'm getting the red light over
Yes.
there.
Oh, sure.
But we'll pass it on to Glenda to take us out. But I just
Sorry,
wanted to, I just wanted to touch bases. You were a great guest, one of the best ever. Sorry, Glenda
Thank
ruined
you,
it for
Dietrich.
you.
Thank you.
But
he ruins a lot of things for me. This is not the first time. It won't be the last.
but we want
no.
you back,
Okay.
regardless.
I'd love to be back.
That's
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah, it was great having you.
Glenn, I love you.
You
You know
speaking of the ability to fail, we've done that quite well today. So thank you.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah,
Dave achieved.
we're learning from our mistakes. And that ought to wrap it up for this first episode of season 3. We want to thank Dietrich for showing up.
Hey,
Dietrich,
you,
thank you
guys.
so much.
Fantastic guest. Thanks to Todd behind
Hey,
the board.
let's go.
David. And that should
Let's
bring
go,
us
David.
out. We are Degens on the Block. Please make sure you subscribe and check us out. Take care. We'll see you next
Cheers.
time.